Welcome back, guys. This is Advicta, and we are in the Darkmoon Faire card valuation stream podcast video for the Lightforge podcast. I mean, Lightforge tier list.
Yes, good. I am Merps. We're talking about Paladin, the class that no one really likes.
Hey, I like Paladin when I don't want to think.
Great. Well, Paladin is defined by cards that are really powerful, not really super flexible sometimes, but a lot of very powerful cards.
Okay, just coming into this, I'm just going to show you the scores of some Paladin cards so you get an idea of how high Paladin cards are. And these are the top 4 cards in Paladin in the meta. 1, Underlight Angling Rod, 293. That's the one where it's a Fiery War Axe, and whenever you attack with it, you get a random Murloc in your hand. So, Fiery War Axe, but you get 2 cards. Next, True Silver Champion, 267. True Silver Champion is freaking good. Third, Blessing of Authority, 239. Blessing of Authority, give a minion +8/+8. It can't attack heroes this turn. It's 5 mana. Next, Goody Two Shoes, 237, which is the 3 mana 4/2 Divine Shield. With Spell Burst, gain another Divine Shield. Like, just ridiculous stuff. This is Paladin, okay? And those were the top 4 cards in Paladin of this set before this new expansion came along. Now, we have an even better card than all 4 of these. That's right. Better than True Silver, better than Blessing of Authority, better than a Underlight Angling Rod, and better than Goody Two Shoes. At 314, God, it is a Hammer of the Naru. 6 mana, Battlecry, summon a 6/6 Holy Elemental with Taunt. So you already have a 6/6 Taunt for 6 mana. That's your starting point. And then on top of that, you get a 3/3 weapon.
Pretty good. The 6/6 even has a taunt, so you have to deal with it. It's pretty ridiculous. I don't know why they printed it. I don't know what this has to do with a fair. This seems like just a holy weapon of some sort. I don't understand. They keep on printing really good cards for Paladin, and at least make it kind of relevant to the expansion topic. But regardless, look, a 6 mana 6/6 taunt is okay-ish, and with a 3/3 weapon attached, it becomes insanely bustedly good. And that's what you have. It's not too hard to understand how good this is.
Yeah. It's an epic, though, so hopefully we won't see it too often. But it's like, these cards are like 1-card good combos. Like, I don't know. Alright. Moving on. Next, the next best card, the best, the number 1 common card for Paladin in this set is a 175, which is where Proto Drake is. It is where, it's a little better than Outdoor Peacekeeper. So it's, I guess, a reasonable card as far as Paladin's concerned. And it is a 2 mana 2/3. Death Rattle, draw a dragon. For a 2 mana card that is on curve, it's pretty good. Drawing a dragon is pretty good because dragons in your deck are pretty good.
Yep. How many dragons are you expected to have?
Not a lot, but enough that you should be able to have one in your deck.
Yeah. So on average, I mean, just a 2 mana 2/3 that draws you a card that has not a lot of conditions attached to it is pretty good.
Yep.
This is pretty good. Also, you can get this from Underlight Angling Rod, funny enough, because it's a Murloc.
Yeah. Like, a lot of the dragons you have in your deck are like Circus Amalgam. Like, that's a dragon. Your Dragon Ball Skystalker is still a dragon. You still have Proto Drake. Like, there's a number of good dragons that you will definitely take and stick in your deck. Next is Snack Run. 2 mana. Discover a spell. Restore health to your hero equal to its cost. So, it's a nice heal that's attached to a Discover a spell. And what's really good is that Paladin spells are kind of hit or miss. They have some. Actually, I don't know. I guess they're mostly miss. But they do have like Libram of Justice, like Hand of Adal, like pretty good spells, Consecrations, right? And then they have Blessing of Authorities, but they also have a lot of secrets that are bad. So being able to discover is a nice benefit.
This is still a little bit higher than I thought it would be. Like, but I can see how it is good, and also heal is actually relevant now. Like, heal is relevant in this meta, not so much that because a lot of classes are going to be going aggressive, but because you want to get to your end game in the safest way possible. So it is quite relevant.
Like, there's so much swing that's going to happen in the late game these days, right? Between the corrupted cards and just kind of power of cards, and the fact that you can just play Hammer the Naru. Like we were just talking about the finale for Mage. That if this stuff can happen, before you were kind of fine with like 8 health if you're not facing Mage, and just be like, you're not going to kill me. But now, if you're standing there at 12 health, you may be dead in 2 turns. Easily. Facing almost any class. So, healing up from 12 health to, 18 health becomes critically important. And this helps with that. You'll also find that a lot of the, like, discover a card things or, like, draw a card things that are higher mana are not penalized as much. There's some kind of turning point where you're kind of spending so much mana at drawing the card that you're less likely to be able to play the card on the same turn. And then you start getting penalized. But, so like Sprint, for example, is still not great. But these cards are like, you may be thinking like, oh, that's an extra mana. Why would I do that? It's because you're never really supposed to play it when you actually need mana in the early going, right? You're supposed to play it later on when you need an answer. So it kind of like the mana is less important at that point. All right. Moving on, we are now at a 142. This is where Fishy Flyer is, so we're definitely still in the premium category. It's a Carousel Griffin, common card, 5 mana, 5/5 Divine Shield. If you corrupt it, remember it's 5 mana, corrupting is going to be pretty hard, but if you corrupt it, it gains +3/+3 and taunt.
So really good. 142 is quite good. Look, it's just, even if you don't corrupt it, right, it is really good. And once you corrupt it, but corrupting is hard. Corrupting is really, really hard. So that's why it's not crazy high. 142 is already really, really good. But yeah, will you lose to a 5 mana 8/8 Divine Shield taunt? Yes. So this is the thing about this meta. You're gonna see a lot of these cards being played, and you might think that corrupting them is easier than it actually ends up being. But people are going to hold cards in their hand, and then you're going to lose to them. Once again, the Death Knight effect. But this card, thankfully, or maybe not thankfully, is just really freaking good by itself. So most of the time, you will/should play it as a 5 mana 5/5 Divine Shield.
Yeah, like you need to have a plan to be saving this card. Like you need to have a 6-drop already in your hand. You need to play it. You need to have something else relevant to do on turn 5. Like otherwise, just let it rip. Okay, next we drop all the way down to 116, which is where Armani is, and it is a Balloon Merchant, 4 mana 3/5. Battlecry, give your Silver Hand recruits +1 attack and Divine Shield. +1 attack and Divine Shield is pretty good, but you're still only buffing your Silver Hand recruits, which are 1/1s. So I don't know. It's fine. It's better than Yeti.
Yeah. So according to our kind of tier list, it's already getting a ton of points for this ability because 4 mana 3/5s are not good.
They're terrible.
Yeah. 4 mana 3/5s are around like 60, 70-ish. So it's getting like 40 points for this ability because you should have some Silver Hand recruits. and you're not playing it until you get it, right? So,
Like, or you wait till turn 6, right?
right, and it's worth it. It's worth the effect to make a really good, an upgraded Argent Squire in that case. So we recognize that yes, there is like a blowout potential, but even in bad scenarios, it's pretty good.
Yep. So now we're done with the good cards, and because this is Paladin, you're gonna have good cards, you're gonna have bad cards. So we are done with the good cards, and we're entering the zone of the bad cards. So there's actually quite a few bad cards for Paladin. The first one is Day at the Fair. It's a 3-mana spell. It says summon 3 Silver Hand recruits. Corrupt, summon 5. So, if you play it on curve, it's 3/1/1s. That's not that good. Later on, you can get 5, which is better, I guess. But then you have a whole bunch of 1/1s on your board space, and your hero power adds another one. It's kind of iffy. It is good later on to give you something to buff, right? Like, it's hard for them to get rid of all the 1/1s. So it's definitely not like anywhere near like unplayable, right, or anything like that. Like, this is where Violet Teacher is. This is where like Razorfen Hunter is. Like, you're fine with this. It's not that hard to corrupt either, but ultimately, you really want a Balloon Merchant if you get this card, right? By itself, it's a little lackluster.
Yep. Okay, man. They really should add a Light's Justice to this card.
Next is Carnival Barker. Same score, basically, and it's a 3-mana 3/2. Whenever you summon a 1-health minion, give it +1/+2. So, again, you have another synergy with the Day at the Fair. Also, a lot of other 1-health minions, but a 3-mana 3/2 is super, super bad. So, you really got to play it as a synergy, and then it only has 2 health, and it'll die very soon. Especially with all that initiative going around. And the synergy is just 3 stats, which we keep belaboring this point, which is at the late game stage in which you're pulling off these synergies, 3 stats is nothing. You need 3 stats on a Divine Shield, you need 3 stats on a Rush, you can't just get 3 stats. So you really need some, like, not just synergy with 1-health minions, but to have them do something special with the stats.
Yep. Now, you guys might be looking at the dream scenario where you have Day at the Fair, you have Carnival Barker, you have Corrupted Day at the Fair, and on turn 6, you play this, and then you die because you spent all that time setting up your combo. But, you got to do it, so props to you. Good job. Post it on Reddit. You'll get some upvotes for it. But yeah, this is just so trash. It's so bad. It's not actually trash, though. Like, 76 is not actually trash. It's just, man, 3-mana 3/2. It better do something really good, and this doesn't.
All right. Finally, we have one final card. I think one final card. Yeah, one final card. This is Oh My Yogg, 1 mana, epic. It's the Paladin secret. When your opponent casts a spell, they instead cast a random one of the same cost.
Nope, I disagree with this score.
You think it's going to be an amazing secret?
I don't know about that, but I think it has to be a little bit higher, okay? For the name, for everything, okay? For everything that I stand for, it has to be a little bit better. Jokes aside, here's the thing. It's not a good card, guys. It's really not. This is actually not a good card. So if you think it's like good, I disagree with that. Do I think it's higher than 60? Sure. One of the problems is it doesn't do enough, and they can also just not cast spells. So think of it this way. Look at Never Surrender, right? Look at Never Surrender and how good, quote unquote, that was for Paladins because they had boards a lot of the times, and how that really never mattered. So if Never Surrender was that bad, like actually that bad, yeah, you can disrupt their spells and everything, but how good do you think it is, right?
Like, it just comes down to this. Oh My Yag makes you one card down. And we kept talking about how much being one card down is like bad for good players. You are one card down when you play a crappy Paladin secret. You are always one card down unless you play possibly Redemption, possibly Noble Sack. That's the nature of Paladin secrets. They're these like utility tempo-y kind of things. And if you don't have synergies for them to make them do stuff, you're spending 1 mana to try to disrupt your opponent. Your opponent will probably be somewhat playing around this if they can. You can't play it on turn 1 because your opponent's get a coin, right? Like, I don't know. Like, it's only 1 mana, not 3. It's not going to be Counterspell, right? But Counterspell's not that great. And this is like, frankly, like worse than a Counterspell. Like, at least Counterspell gets you the card. This one, your opponent casts a random spell, which is even more RNG, and RNG is bad for good players. So you're inviting RNG, not just RNG, but like really big RNG, right? Like, they could get like a 10 mana spell and like win the game. Not of the same cost, my bad. But still, they could get like a very useful spell, and then essentially your card would have done nearly nothing. Or they could get a totally crappy spell that like hurts their own minions, and then you like super win. It's not like I don't like this much RNG even if it hits. And there's a very good chance it doesn't like hit, or it takes a really long time to hit, and you're just always playing with 1 card down.
Yep. Look, man, I just like the flavor of it. I like the name. It's great, but no, it's not a good card. It costs a card. That's the problem with it. That's like the same problem that you had with Never Surrender as well. Like, it's these effects that are decent for, especially for Paladin. Like, Never Surrender, you would think is like, oh, it might be decent. No, we played it with a while, and you know it's bad. And costing a card sucks. Just really, really, really sucks. And the reason I compare it to Never Surrender is lots of times when they cast spells, it's to remove your stuff. Or if they're not removing and they're drawing a card, well, great. Then you're buffing your board and everything. That's fantastic. That's exactly what you want. So, I'm comparing to that and like how easy it is for opponents to play around Never Surrender. And then for this, it's like, oh man, it really sucks. But I want it to be higher. I do. I really want it to be higher.
It'll be higher if you're a worse player because it has a lot of RNG.
It does have a lot of RNG to it. A ton.
Yeah, like keep in mind, we assume you're a 75% win rate player on this tier list. So for certain cards that are really high RNG, they're going to work better for most players. But, it's still never going to be good, like on average. Like, if you're a 50-50 player, like a 3-win player, this may end up being like a 80, maybe. I can't see it ever being a 100. Like, it may get to 90 at most. If you're a 3-win player. If you're like a 1-win player, maybe this is like a 120 for you. But I don't know. Like, this is just it's too much RNG, and it doesn't do enough. And we don't just purely hate RNG, right? Box of Yogg has gotten amazing scores from us from the very beginning. We were one of the only people that believed in Box of Yogg, like, before...
From the very
beginning, right? Like, before day one. We were like, Box of Yogg, nearly 200 points, like, come at us. And people were like, what? But you hate RNG. And we're like, yeah, but this adds up, like, so much. Box of Yogg, by the way, in the new algorithm system is over 300 points. Like, and obviously, it would be.
It makes sense. You're able to get to box, and we know how good box is now.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for Paladin. If you're looking at how Paladin plays in this new meta, it plays the same as it always plays. There's nothing like none of these cards do anything. That's the thing. A lot of the times with this expansion is it doesn't really force any of these heroes into a certain play style. At least not in the arena side, which is weird because that's almost always what the third expansion of the year does, is it forces each hero into its narrow, like, whatever thing. But this is pretty wide open for the arena, right? Like, Snack Run's not doing anything crazy for your archetype. Hammer of the Naru is good no matter what you're doing. Carousel Griffin's good no matter what you're doing. Like, it's just, You know, Balloon Merchant, it has some combos, but it's not like you're gonna push hard for the combos just for a Balloon Merchant. I don't know. It's a kind of a balance in Paladin of really good cards and then cards you don't want to see.
Cool. So that's it for Paladin. They got a lot of good cards. The problem with good cards in Paladin is they typically micro adjust them down a lot because people don't like playing against them. So as for how often you see it, well, it depends on Blizzard, and it depends on how annoying Paladin becomes. But let's take this opportunity to thank two individuals who are working with us. David Attenborough says for uploading the videos onto YouTube and doing so in a very timely fashion. So thank you, David Attenborough says. Also, thank you to ZD Man for not only working on this for like days and weeks, but also working during the stream to update the numbers. This is like hard-hitting information up to the minute. So thank you, ZD Man, for putting up with Adukta, because they work together a lot. And by work together, like just understanding Adukta's mind and his request is... it's hard, man. It's hard.
All right. We'll see you in the next episode for Priest. Until then, this is Adwicta.
This is Merp. See you guys.